Okay, we have an outlet we're going to take apart and look and see how they did hooking this up. It's all painted over, so we have to replace it. It wasn't even screwed to the box very tight. Alrighty, they did what's called a backstab. And we'll see how he hooked everything up. And they left all the screws out. And see how sloppily they did that ground wire there? Very poor work. See that great big gap right in there? It's around the screw the right way, but they didn't even put the loop under the screw. So we'll open that up. And we'll get our wire right out of the way here. Pull our wires out of the back here. I might just clip them and do nice new strips. There we go. We strip with our 14 gauge hole. Here in the country I was born in, we use 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps, 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare or the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a 110, 120 volt switch loop or on a 220, 240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require neutrals. So we're going to close our screws we're not going to use. So here in the country I was born in, our outlets are polarized. Your white wire goes on the silver screw, which is the wide slot. Your black wire goes on the brass screw, which is the narrow slot. And your bare or green wire goes on this green screw, and that's the ground. Red and blue are also live, so we'll get our white wire around the silver screw. Some of these screws work good with a Phillips screwdriver and some of them don't. Okay, we got it nice and tight. That's what we want. Put our ground wire around our green screw. And we'll close the loop like what they should have done in the first place, what they did. I'm not going to say who did it, but make sure it's nice and tight. Like that. And now we'll flip it around and we'll get our black wire on the brass screw. So we're going to bring our ground wire. We're going to keep it down on the bottom. And now we'll hook our black wire to our brass screw. We'll just take up just about an inch. Make our loop the direction our screw turns. up on this, under the screw head there. There we go. I don't want my hands in the way. I want people to see what I'm doing. I'm going to come up a little bit more. If you can't get it with your pliers, you just use your screwdriver. You can just push it over like that, and we'll get our pliers in there. There we go. We got our loop closed the direction our screw turns. Make sure it's nice and tight. We have a nice connection like this here. Now we can put our wires into our box. Now we're going to keep our ground wire down at the bottom so it stays away from our terminals here. Push it down to the bottom of the box there. Bring it over. We'll keep it down over here so it doesn't touch anything. We want to keep it down away from everything here. There we go. And we'll screw our device back into our box. And we ended up not needing our tail wires here. Make sure it's nice and tight. And it's nice and tight. And we'll stick our new cover on here. There we go. Alrighty, I've been helping a landlord with a very good reputation around town, and he's known for taking good care of his tenants and maintaining his buildings. So I was glad to do this for him. Here in the country I was born in, we use 14 American wire gauge on 15 amps, 12 American wire gauge on 20 amps. Black is live, white is neutral, the bare, the green is the ground. Red and blue are also live colors. However, you may find white live in a 110, 120 volt switch loop or in a 220, 240 volt circuit where the appliance does not require a neutral. And also we're using some products that are made here in the country I was born in by Eaton. Peace. Thanks for watching.